Alright, so moving on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my fight prediction for this weekend's fight taking place in the sport of boxing between George Kambosos and Maxi Huges. So this fight, Maxi Huges is a world champion at the lightweight division. He's a fighter that fights overseas in the UK. So he is a world champion. So Maxi Huges will be defending his IBO world title. And this is actually a IBF title or a world title eliminator fight. So the winner of this fight not only is going to walk away the new IBO champion in the sport of boxing in the lightweight division, but they could possibly have a chance to becoming the #1 contender, the mandatory for the IBF world title at the lightweight division. So this could put the winner in really good championship contention because let's tell the truth about it. Devin Haney's future at the lightweight division is really up in the air right now. As I record this on a Thursday night, he still has, the WBC has mandated him that he has until Friday to make the decision if he's going to fight Shakur Stevenson next, or is he going to fight Regis Prograis next and move up to 140. So if he moves up to 140, it's a good chance that Devin Haney is going to vacate his undisputed titles at the lightweight division. The winner of this fight could be in line to fight for the IBF world title if Devin Haney vacates the belts. So this weekend we'll be seeing the return of the former unified champion at the lightweight division, George Kambosos, and his first fight back in the sport of boxing after his two gut-wrench losses to Devin Haney in the calendar year of 2022, losing the unified titles in an undisputed championship fight and then losing the rematch later on in that calendar year 2022. It'll be nice to see the unified champion George Kambosos back in the boxing ring. Maxi Huges, like I just said, he's a fighter from the UK. He's heading into this fight with some momentum under his belt after defeating Kid Calliope by unanimous decision 10 months ago in a boxing ring. So this is my tale of the tape heading into this fight. George Kambosos is 20-2. He has 10 knockouts to his resume and is a former unified world champion at the lightweight division. And then you have Maxi Huges, who is 26-5-2. It has 5 KOs. Is currently the reigning defending IBO world champion in the lightweight division. So with that being said, I think George Kambosos is going to get the win. I think George Kambosos is going to win this fight very easily, very decisively by unanimous decision. I believe that ESPN Top Rank has picked a good opponent for George Kambosos for his return back to the boxing ring so he could build back his confidence. I'm not taking anything away from Maxi Huges. I've watched his film, I've studied his tape, and he's a good UK fighter. But coming over to America to fight one of the best lightweights that this division has to offer, it seems to me that Top Rank has protected George Kambosos to build his confidence back up so he can get the big time fights and still in this lightweight division. By any means, anything can happen in the sport of boxing, and anybody can be defeated anytime they walk in the ring. It just depends on your execution. I just think George Kambosos is recharged. He's rejuvenated. He's learned from these losses. I think we're just going to see a new and improved George Kambosos again, back to that cocky way that led him being a unified champion at the lightweight division. So I'm going with him to win this fight by unanimous decision. Also noted that George Kambosos, for his return, he wanted to fight a southpaw fighter. I think ESPN Top Rank granted his wish because Max Huges is also a southpaw fighter. And George Kambosos believes that he can fight his best fight against someone that fights just like him, a southpaw fighter. I think I think Saturday against Maxi Huges is going to be very comfortable landing the hooks, left hooks. I think he's going to be very comfortable landing body shots. I think he's going to be very comfortable landing uppercuts, and I think he's going to be very effective landing jabs against a southpaw fighter and Maxi Huges. So I believe George Kambosos is preparing himself for a big fight at the lightweight division against a southpaw fighter, because let's face it, Devin Haney has his number. It is what it is. Sometimes there's just fights that there's just guys out there in combat sports that just have your number. So I don't ever expect them to fight each other again. I say that with all due respect, but in the lightweight division, there are some big names still roaming in this division outside of Devin Haney. All the big names remaining are southpaw fighters. So I think George Kambosos getting in the ring with a southpaw fighter, Maxi Huges, This is getting George Kambosos a little fired up, a little warm-up for potentially fighting a southpaw fighter in the lightweight division by the end of the year. The top names at 135 outside of Devin Haney are southpaw fighters. Gervonta Tank Davis is now out of jail. He's going to be looking for an opponent to fight one more time by the end of 2023. If Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson fight, I would love to see Gervonta Davis and George Kambosos get it on in the ring. That's a very exciting, flavorful fight. And both are southpaw fighters. There'll be a lot of fireworks with those two fighting on the inside against each other. Woo! I got that vision in my head. That would be one hell of a fight. Shakur Stevenson is also a southpaw fighter. If you guys remember, Shakur Stevenson called out George Kambosos not too long ago after he suffered his second career loss against Devin Haney. He said, George Kambosos said, maybe down the line I need to recharge my batteries, get with the family, come back, and then we'll see what happens. If Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis fight by the end of the year, or if those two respective fighters are busy by the end of the year, why not get Shakur Stevenson versus George Kambosos? Both are the same, fight for the same company, ESPN Top Rank. That'd be an easy fight to make in the lightweight division. Or another big name that's a southpaw fighter is Vasily Lomachenko. These two have been on a small collision course, I'll say. The two were supposed to fight each other if Vasily Lomachenko got past Teofimo Lopez back in 2020. Vasily Lomachenko lost that fight. That's how we got Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos to fight. Obviously, the world knows that George Kambosos pulled off one of the biggest upsets in boxing when he defeated Teofimo Lopez. But that is one hell of a fight. Also, Lomachenko and George Kambosos fighting on the inside. Fireworks, back and forth, going back and forth with each other. So there's a lot of southpaws out there in the lightweight division that George Kambosos would love to get in a boxing ring with. I think this is what this boxing fight this weekend against Maxi Huges is setting up for, a warm-up, testament of how good he can be, how good of shots he can land against a southpaw fighter. But I have George Kambosos winning this fight by unanimous decision. That is my fight prediction for this weekend's fight between George Kambosos and Maxi Huges.